6 p.m. Alcohol zoning public hearing for November 15th. This is a roll call. The Honorable Catherine F. Rao, District 1.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gomez, District 2.
Present.
The Honorable Helen Z. Rose, District 3.
Present.
The Honorable J.C. Sebastian, District 4.
Present.
The Honorable Corey A. Reeves, District 5.
Count of 4.
And the Honorable Natasha Williams, District 6. And the Honorable Mayor Khalid.
Present. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
All right. Would you go ahead and sound the first item?
Mr. Mayor, before reading the first item, I just wanted to state for the record that item number 1 is a public hearing for U22-013, as well as item number 6, which is a public hearing regarding text amendments to update short-term rental and rooming houses regulations, is being asked to be removed from the agenda. It is not properly before the council at this time.
All right. Thank you.
So the first item is public hearing, U22-010, request a special use permit for the establishment of a hair salon in an existing building located at 5610 Old National Highway with the C1 zoning district on 0.78 acres of land. This is located in District 6.
All right. Staff.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Derek Cole reporting on behalf of the Community Development and Regulatory Affairs Department. The item before council is a request for a special use permit to establish a hair salon. The location of the project is in District 6. By way of a little bit of background information, the existing building that's there now was rezoned back in 2012 by then Fulton County Board of Commissioners, and it went from C1 to C2. At some point during the incorporation of the city, the project site was rezoned again to C1 limited commercial, which is the current zoning at the time. There is an existing building at the site, and it includes commercial uses. I believe the uses include a law office and limousine services, but there are other spaces available in the building. The building size is 3,500 square feet approximately, and as you know, because of the location on Old National, it is located in the Overlay District, Old National Highway Overlay District. As it relates to the comprehensive plan land use map, the area is known as regional live-work, and the proposed use is consistent with the land use map. As was mentioned earlier, the zoning for the project site is C1 limited commercial. This particular type of use is permitted subject to the approval of a special use permit. The site that you see, or the slide that you see before you, is an aerial view of the project site. This illustration shows a street view of the building for which the applicant is requesting to establish a hair salon within the building. You will notice that there is parking in front of the building, and it has access off of Old National. As it relates to an analysis of the project, hair salons as of December 2021 in the city of South Fulton require approval with a special use permit. The vision from the applicant is to create not only a hair salon, but individual suites, salon suites as they are called, to create small business opportunities. Each salon suite will create a private individual opportunity for a proprietor to engage in hair salon activities. The use would eliminate current space that's in the building, which is vacant. The existing building was constructed primarily as an office building, and because of that, certain commercial uses that might be otherwise preferred in the area, particularly things like a restaurant or such, would be hard to accommodate in space just because of the mechanisms of how the building was initially constructed. The proposed use meets all the parking requirements. The code requires, based upon the formula, a minimum of 18 spaces, and the applicant is proposing 20 spaces for this site. Therefore, staff is recommending approval with conditions, and just for the record, I will state the conditions. The proposed use and layout shall be within the general conformity of the site plan submitted by the applicant, which is dated February 5th, 2021. The applicant must submit a parking plan prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. The applicant must obtain a business license prior to opening the salon. And finally, the applicant must maintain the property to keep the property clean and free of debris. There was an action that was taken at the October 26th Planning Commission meeting. Planning Commission did deny the project. So with that, staff will conclude the presentation, and the applicant and staff are here if you have any questions.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. I'm going to ask all of those in favor of this salon to stand here on this side of the room, my left, your right, including the applicant. All of those opposed, please stand on the right side, my right, your left. And Mr. Clerk, do we have anyone listed for or against?
Yes, we do have one person that completed a card in opposition, and I believe the applicant is here as well to present their case.
The applicant, please come forward. Is that applicant here?
Maybe not.
Okay. We'll hear from the person against.
Mr. Venable submitted a card in opposition. Please state your name, address, and you have 2 minutes. Well, you have 10 minutes total.
My name is Michael Venable, 5721 Philly Circle, District 6. Unfortunately, we continue to rewind the tape and play the exact same tune. For those of you who are not freshmen on this council, this exact same case came to you last year, U21-003. The council seated in March 2021 denied this application because of duplicity of like uses congregated in relatively small areas. No one should confuse special with deserving privilege. If 100 electric vehicles were introduced to an already busy thoroughfare, it may be different and unique. They are relatively clean, modern, probably efficient, but they are still traffic, over-exasperating congestion. A Tesla is still a vehicle that oversaturates traffic. Salon suites may be nice, personal, private, and in some cases may be upscale, but they are still hair salons. Hair salons have oversaturated the Old National Corridor. Old National lists addresses of hair salons, not the side streets, just Old National Highway addresses. 4803, 4811, 4821, 4822, 4854, 4855, 5123, 5135, 5150, 5190, 5437, 5495, 5495. Again, 5610, 5725, 5737, 5755, 5990, 6085, 6175, 7490. I urge you to deny this. We can never move forward if we continue to oversaturate the exact same thing, which discourages proper economic development for this corridor. Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. This is a new one for me, so we don't have the applicant here. Are we? All right, so I will have you. I'm going to reopen the public hearing since the applicant is here, and just we can hear from the applicant.
But I understand.
Excuse me. Please state your name and address, please.
Okay, Oliver Williford, I'm 5610 Old National Highway. And I understand Mr. Venables' concern as a reference to having a similar business in the same area. But one thing I want to be very mindful of, that we have to look at the city of South Fulton is an 85% demographics. So when I purchase a property, which we have three other salons in the area, which we've never had an issue with because we do them in excellence, we have to cater to businesses that are conducive to the environment. So the salon suite business is a different concept. It's similar to what Blockbuster and Netflix. The salon suite business is a concept that instead of having all these saturated facilities of salons and beauty salons, we have one facility with multiple people inside it. So therefore, you don't need all this space and oversaturation. They're all in one facility with all licensed individuals within that facility. So the great thing about the city of South Fulton, we will be the first, and we will operate in excellence, requiring every individual within the facility to be licensed. And as a business owner, I never want to disrupt what's conducive to the city to move forward. That's not my objective. I understand he read off all these addresses. But at the end of the day, we have to do things that the people of the constituents within the city will support. So I appeal to you all to whereas we'll be a beacon to what's happening new in the city. And I think salon suites are the new wave for beauty and personal care facilities. You're not going to have all these individual places in the future. You're going to have individualized salon suites that are going to have a cluster of people within them. So, thank you so much for your time, and I apologize for my time.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Don't go too far. There may be questions from council. I'm going to open the floor up now for questions, motions. Is there anyone? I'm sorry, I need to switch my meeting over. Just by hands, is there anyone that has a motion or a question? Councilwoman Williams, District 6.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I do have a motion to approve, but before I make that motion, I want to first of all thank Mr. Williford, who I've been working with pretty closely throughout this year to bring this to fruition. Much like I've said before with previous developments, things are changing in terms of how businesses are being done. I've had the opportunity to not only go see Mr. Williford's other businesses, but I took the opportunity to go to other places around the metropolitan area that have this same model. Austell, Douglasville, Kennesaw, as I've been driving back and forth to get to Kennesaw State. And whereas a traditional salon is a room with chairs on each side with stylists, and then, you know, as you get towards the back, you have your bank of bowls, and then your bank of hair dryers and, you know, multiple TVs, radio, all of that. The salon suite model doesn't allow just stylists. So I've seen this model in Austell, for instance, where there's nail techs. I've seen it where they have hair vendors, where lash techs, brow techs, all working out of a suite in the same building. So instead of having to get up on Saturday morning, be at the hair salon, then get in your car, go to your nail salon, then get in your car and go to Greenbrier and get your brows done, you're able to take care of all of these things in one place. And I do believe that while we do have multiple traditional salons, we do not have this. And in traveling around the metropolitan area, I think it has become clear that not just this, but multiple other industries and businesses are beginning to move away from things that we may be used to, and other areas are embracing different models of how we do business. And so I want to repeat something that I said earlier in another meeting about, I think that we have to really begin to look at the future, what the future is going to look like, what business is going to look like in the future as we consider these developments. And so when, I know we vote on it in thank you, we will vote on it in regular session, but I think that it would be doing a disservice to this model to characterize it as just another hair salon, because it isn't. And I would challenge everyone, once again, to really start to look at the ways industries are changing and doing business, and begin to broaden our perspective on what business can look like.
All right. And anyone else? I do have just some legal questions. I really hate these special use permits. They put my colleagues, I'm no longer a voting member, but I think they put us in this unenviable position of voting on things that we kind of have already come to some consensus around. I'm just going to ask this. So this is a the argument is being made that this is different enough from a hair salon that it is not the approval of another hair salon. Is there some way to amend our zoning ordinance to create a new classification for whatever this is?
Is that a question to me, sir?
No, that's a question for our, I'm sorry, I'm looking at him, but I didn't say his name.
Okay.
That's a question for our planning and
Okay.
zoning director.
So, Mr. Mayor, my response would be that's like considered splitting hairs. You can split a hair in the middle, but it's still going to be a hair. If that makes sense. I don't know how else to say it. It's a concept. What I will say, as it relates to this particular application is this particular applicant was very descriptive in terms of what he wanted to do and what he wanted to achieve. And for staff, that was more convincing. That was a more compelling argument because he was able to define exactly what the salon suite's image is going to be. But it would be difficult for us to interpret this particular use separate and apart from how we classify hair salons.
Okay. That gives me some concerns that I will just share with you offline. And my colleagues, I just want us to have that conversation outside of a zoning hearing. All right. Seeing no other questions or comments, please stay on the next item.
Next item is a public hearing. It's listed as number 3 on the agenda. Request council approval of alcohol license for Fairburn Blessings Incorporated doing business as Shell Food Mart for an alcohol license for the retail sale of wine and malt beverages at 7745 Spence Road, Suite A, Fairburn, Georgia 30213. It's located in District 4.
All right. Go ahead.
Good evening again, City Mayor, City Council, and City Manager. The application for Fairburn Blessings Inc. doing business as Shell's Food Mart, located at 7745 Spence Road, is for a change of ownership and has met all legal requirements to obtain an alcohol license at this location. This location previously held an alcohol license, and staff recommendation is approval.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Again, those, including the applicant, in favor, please meet here on my left, your right. Those opposed, please meet on my right, your left. All right, and I'm told that this is District 7 and not District 4. What's the address?
7745 Spence Road.
Yeah, that's definitely District 7. Thank you so much for that correction. Councilman Sebastian. Mr. Clerk, do we have anyone for or against?
I believe the applicant is here, but we did not receive any cards in opposition or support of this application.
All right, let's hear from the applicant. Please come forward.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Mir Ali, and I'm the new owner for this location, Shell Food Mart, located at 7745 Spence Road, Fairburn, Georgia.
Do you want to say anything about this license? Is this a new license? Is this a...
Yeah, I was just requesting for an alcohol license for the existing business.
All right, this isn't a new building. Did the previous owner...
Yeah, it was an existing business. I just got it.
All right, you can stay there. I'm going to close the public hearing. Are there any questions from council? Seeing none and seeing no one in the queue, I do just want to confirm. You did say that there was an alcohol license previously at this address?
I believe that's what Lieutenant Sprague said.
Okay. All right, Mr. Clerk, I think we're good. Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item. Oh, did you have a question? Go ahead, Councilman Gomes.
Change of ownership.
I'm sorry, is it a new business that took over? Is it being grandfathered in?
It's a change of ownership. It's already an existing business. They already hold an alcohol license.
Okay, just
So you
change
just
of ownership.
Correct, just a change of ownership.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we good? Everybody's good? All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Next item is public hearing. Request council approval of an alcohol license for Petrocart UC doing business as Cascade Shell for an alcohol license for the retail sale of wine and malt beverages at 5636 Fulton Industrial Boulevard, Atlanta, Georgia 30336. And I believe this is located in District 1.
The application for a petrol cart doing business as Cascade Shells, located at 5636 Fulton Industrial Boulevard, is also for a change of ownership and has met all legal requirements to obtain an alcohol license at this location. This location previously held an alcohol license as well, and the staff recommendation is for approval.
Thank you so much. Again, opening the public hearing, the applicant would come forward, and any one opposing, please meet here on your left and my right. We'll hear from the applicant now. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Shafiq Virani, 102 Central Park Place. This is for the application for the new existing business. We apply for the new ownership.
It's another transfer of ownership from a previously existing business. Is that correct? All right, any questions from council? Councilwoman Gums.
So, I guess this is for the officer. Are there any incidents of crime at this location or anything of that nature? And is it customary for just, I guess, it to be grandfathered in if there's a change in ownership? Do they have to go through a whole new background and things of that nature as well?
Yes, they, well, putting a call history, there have not been any Part 1 crimes that have took place at this location. During the process of a change of ownership, we treat it as this kind of like a new alcohol application. They do have to undergo background check, fingerprints, and et cetera.
So it's just pretty much when you're doing a change of ownership that they're selling, you know, I guess you all are going through the background to see if possibly if they owed any taxes or anything like that and why they're changing.
Correct, as well as any relationships.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Dr. Wall?
This one is a tough one. I know you're a new owner or proposed new owner for this site. And while it's not directly related to this license, there have been maintenance issues at this shell that I am very concerned about. So I just want to go on record in saying that. So I'm looking forward to the improved aesthetics at this site. So I look forward to giving you information as it relates to this particular site.
Like I'm trying to keep that location neat and clean by hiring a professional to twice a day to clean that location. I know it's
That's a good start because it is an issue with cleanliness at that site.
All right. And I would be remiss. We do have two written comments in opposition. Would you go ahead and read those into the record, Mr. Clerk?
Okay. Mr. Mayor and Council, I did send these to you previously via email, but we did receive two comments in opposition to this request. The first one is from Nadia Murray, who lives on Cascade Hill Circle. She writes, I'm writing to advise that I am not in support of the Shell gas station at 5636 Fulton Industrial Boulevard, i.e. agenda item, request for a liquor license. There's an establishment right across the street next to Johnny's Pizza and several places on Campbellton and Cascade Road to purchase alcohol. Shell gas station is already crime infested, and approving their request for a liquor license will further compound the problem. I am a 10-year resident of the Summit at Cascade Hills, and I have never purchased gas from this establishment because of the crime that's been associated at this location. So please join me in saying no to public hearing. Request council approval of alcohol license, Petrocart UC, doing business as Cascade Shell. Your assistance will be greatly appreciated. And the next comment is from Charles Warrior, who also lives on Cascade Rise Court. He states, I'm writing in opposition to the approval of alcohol license for the Shell station located at 5636 Fulton Industrial Boulevard in District 1. There's already a package store located at 5495 Cascade Road.
there are other stores along Fulton Industrial Boulevard, along with grocery stores in the area, that can provide this service to consumers. The church located at Old Cascade Road is closer to the Shell station than is the package store on Cascade Road. Single-serving items bought in service station tend to lead to drinking and driving something I have witnessed on multiple occasions. Our subdivision, Cascade Hills, is tired of picking up tossed containers from walkers and cut-through traffic. And we are tired of the likes that all of our black communities want this alcohol store on every corner. Please deny this license. There are enough places in the area that sell alcohol. Again, thank you for denial. Respectfully, Charles Warrior. That completes the comments that I received.
Since we did hear those in opposition, sir, did you want to just respond to any of the concerns that you've heard about crime or trash?
I mean, as I said, I'm concerned about the trash removal on the property, but I see that there is a grandfather license on this location, so I'm going to request City Council to approve the application.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, would you go ahead and sound the next item?
The last case on tonight's agenda is a public hearing, request council approval of an alcohol license for Regal Convenience LLC, doing business as Roosevelt Chevron, for an alcohol license for retail sales of wine and beer at 4891 Roosevelt Highway, South Fulton, Georgia, 30349, and this is located in District 3.
The application for Regal Convenience LLC, doing business as the Roosevelt Chevron, located at 4891 Roosevelt Highway, is also a change of ownership and has met all legal requirements to obtain an alcohol license at this location. This location previously held an alcohol license, and the staff recommendation is for approval.
All right. Again, if the applicant wants to go ahead and come forward, and anyone in support can stand again on my left, your right. Anyone in opposition, if you would line up on my right and your left. Mr. Clerk, do we have anyone? Can you tell me the speakers that we have for and against?
Yeah, we did not receive any comments in support or opposition to this case.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and the council members. We are applying for a change of ownership on a license, alcohol license for 4891 Roosevelt Highway. Roosevelt, it's been there for almost over 25 years. And I am the new owners, and this location has been serving the community, and we're committing to make a lot of changes in this store, and we're making a lot of improvement in the store. So I hope that with that, you should please consider to approve this. I would appreciate it.
All right. We have a question from Councilwoman Gomes.
I guess not to you, it's to the officer. So this seems a little weird. Like, everyone that has come up here is a change in ownership, and I didn't know we were selling gas stations like that. I mean, is it something that you just kept this in a cluster and you all bring them on this, this council meeting particularly? Because it just feels weird.
Well, we're in a time of renewal process at this time. So what's happening is that, the applicants, they get their application in right before the renewal period, before they have to renew. So they purchase it before the renewal process. And then we'll undergo the renewal. So the last 3 has been a change of ownership right before our renewal period.
So right before the renewal period, all of these new owners are coming. You don't feel weird? Okay, it's just me. I don't know, but thank you for clarifying.
Usually it's 1 or usually it's 2.
Yeah, but it's all of them today.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
I'm in the queue.
All right, Councilwoman Willis.
Thank you for recognizing me. I have the same concern as Councilmember Gums. Is this location already selling beer and wine?
That's correct, Councilwoman Willis. We already have a alcohol license for beer and wine.
So what is typically the, I mean, when people change ownership like this to get a new license under another name, like, this is happening too frequently, and it is. I don't understand. Can you give us some background, like why this is happening or why this typically happens?
Well, this typically happens, it's just with the businesses of these gas stations they sell. I'm not sure the background on that part of why they sell their businesses, but then someone else would purchase their business. But they're not related.
So, okay, so we already have, okay. So I'll take these questions offline and talk with you and Chief Meadows. I do have the same concern Councilmember Guns is having. And we're not voting on this today, so we do have until December 15th to do, to vet any additional information that needs to be vetted, correct?
No, there are a couple corrections. First, Councilwoman Willis, we actually are voting tonight because we have these combined meetings. The same is going to be true in December. We hear it at the special session, and then we vote on it at the regular meeting, which is happening at 8 o'clock tonight.
Okay, because I don't see these items on the agenda for the 8 o'clock unless I'm missing something. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, I do. So, okay, I'll be deferring this to the December meeting until I can get some more information because I need to get some additional information. And I think that I don't think it's appropriate for me to ask certain questions publicly. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And we'll entertain that deferral at the next meeting. I do just want to ask, as a point of clarity, because I feel like 90 to 95% of these cases at gas stations are just changes of membership. There are a lot tonight, but I am not aware that we have ever in our history given out a lot of brand new alcohol licenses at gas stations, or really anywhere. We don't give out that many new ones. Aren't the majority of all of our alcohol permits just transfers of ownership?
Correct. Majority of them for the gas stations are for a change of ownership. We recently just issued a new one for the 5955 Fulton Industrial, which is a Circle K that just opened. That was the most recent one that we did as far as a new application.
And there, I know that some of this is governed by state law. That was a comment that was just made. Could you speak to that?
In reference to which state law? I'm sorry.
That is not allowed under. Is that what you just wanted clarified?
Understanding is correct that state law basically grandfathers it even with change in ownership, the alcohol license. Is that correct?
That's correct. Unfortunately, there's no limitation as to the number of change of ownerships that they can have. It's pretty much unlimited.
State law is not great.
All right. Well, yeah, I think we'll take Councilwoman Willis's suggestion under advisement and have these conversations offline. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close that public hearing, and I believe that was our final item. Is that correct?
Unless you wish to take up council comments at this time.
No, we'll hold those for maybe the end of the meeting. All right. We'll go ahead and close. I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move that we adjourn the the zoning public hearing.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
It's roll call vote to adjourn. Councilmember Rao?
Yes.
Councilmember Gumbs? Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves? Aye. Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
We're adjourned at 7:43 p.m.
All right. For those of you following along, we just got different meetings. This is the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order, and we are now going to have an invocation. Is there a pastor in the house?
Yes, we have Pastor Timothy Watkins here with us this evening.
Please let us know your church, Mr. Watkins.
I'm Elder Timothy J. Watkins. My church affiliation is Spread the Word Church Ministries, 4626 Washington Road. Bishop John Sidney Battle III is my pastor. Good evening. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we give you glory, we give you honor, we give you praise. We do thank you for this opportunity to come together. And God, we thank you right now for wisdom and knowledge and understanding concerning the things that are before us today. God, I ask that you would allow your presence to reign in this place, that you would speak to the mayor and all of the council persons. God, that you would give them the insight and the foresight to govern and guide this community, that your will be done. We thank you for peace. We thank you for patience. We thank you for productivity. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Let us all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Clerk, do we need to roll call again?
Yes, sir. It's a roll call for tonight's regular council meeting, November 15th, 7:45 p.m. The Honorable Catherine F. Rye, District 1.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gomes, District 2.
Present.
The Honorable Helen Z. Willis, District 3.
I am present virtually due to death in my family. I am still in Savannah, Georgia, so please excuse my physical presence, but I am here with my constituents virtually. Thank you.
The Honorable J.C. Sebastian, District 4.
Present.
The Honorable Corey A. Reeves, District 5.
Count for.
The Honorable Natasha Williams, District 6.
Present.
And the Honorable Mayor Khalid.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
All right, please sound the next item.
Before we sound the next item, Mayor, I need to make an addition to the agenda.
The next item is the adoption of the agenda. So I'm just going to have you sound it.
Yes. Next item is adoption of the council agenda.
All right. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. It appears that the council approval of U22-013 was left off of the agenda under Roman numeral number, is that 6, 8, 9?
9.
9. So we need to add that in.
013 or
U22-010
010.
was left off.
All right. And
I have a request, Mayor, when she's finished.
okay, give me 1 second. There were some text amendments and things that were removed from the last meeting that we had. Are they on this agenda, or were they already removed?
Yes, actually, item 11, which was the text amendments, subject short-term rental and rooming house regulations, that was removed from the previous agenda, and it's being asked to remove from this agenda because it needs to go to the Planning Commission, as well as item 7, which is the special use permit.
All right, thank you.
Stonewall Tell.
Councilwoman Willis?
Yes, I would like to, so that I won't have to request the business owner to stay through its entirety, I would like to go ahead and request for removal of the liquor license, Regal, doing business as Chevron in District 3. That is item under Roman number let's see, 8, number 4. And then I would also like to request for council comments to go under public comments, right after public comments. And that is it. Thank you.
All right. I do just want to check, can we remove the item, or do we need to vote for a deferral or with legal? How should we do that?
Mayor, if I understand, once you remove an item, it comes right back to the next agenda.
I'm just going to get just consultation from our legal. Go ahead.
It's going to have the same effect, whether or not the formal motion to defer or just come back on the 13th.
All right. Thank you. Any other changes? Councilwoman Rao.
Yes, after item 7, I want to add 7A, a Veterans Proclamation for Dr. Clarence Clavon. And I also want to defer item number 9. So I have the same request as Councilwoman Willis.
Okay, so we got 7, 8, 9, and 11. All right, so we're just doing 8 and 10.
And actually,
8 and 10, and we have a new number 7, which was U22-010.
right.
All right.
But also for the proclamations, Miss Armster is actually out of the country celebrating her birthday. So she's not, we'll have to give her hers on a different day at the next meeting.
Perfect. All right. We'll just take all of those changes in bank.
Yeah, we actually had a couple more. Item 14, which is council approval to award a contract to CMC Incorporated. My understanding from the city manager's office is that that should be removed from the agenda because that is not ready for a council vote.
Okay.
And then lastly,
What number is that?
item 14. And then lastly, Mayor Pro Tem Reeves wishes to nominate J. Latisse Bailey Close as his appointee to the Ethics Panel.
What item number?
Is that on the
That's an addition.
consent agenda?
That's an addition to the agenda.
Okay.
Yes, it is a consent agenda, Mayor.
All right. Well, we can't add to the consent agenda. We just add it to the regular agenda.
Regular agenda.
Right.
Okay. We'll just make that item number 25. All right. You want to read back all those changes so we just got them?
Sure. Make sure that we have everything correctly. There's a request to move council comments up to after public comment. There was a request to defer items 9 and 10 until the next meeting. Items 7, 11, and 14 are being removed from the agenda. And the request was made to add item 22-010, use permit, that was omitted from the agenda. And then lastly, a request was made to add to the agenda the nomination of Mayor Pro Tem Reeves of J. Latisse Bailey Close. Did I miss any?
Did we include item 8 in that? 7, 8, 9, and 10 we're deferring?
Okay, so 8 is being for deferral as well? District 7?
I thought we were going to do that because we wanted to investigate more about the licenses.
Okay. Yeah, I did hear Councilman Burrell indicate number 9, and then Councilman Willis said 10. So you want to add 8 as well?
I think we should because if they're all the same cases, I'm not sure why we would leave one in.
Yes, sir.
I think that we have a motion. Is there a second?
No, there's no motion.
I like to make a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded.
Okay, wait a minute. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the adoption of the council agenda as amended with said changes.
I already made the motion. I said so moved.
So we have a motion and a second, however you record that, Mr. Clerk. Please call the vote.
It's roll call vote to approve the agenda as amended. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
The agenda has been amended and approved unanimously.
Thank you. Please stay on the next item.
Next item is approval of city council meeting minutes, council regular meeting minutes from October 25th, 2022.
I move to approve the city council regular meeting minutes from October 25th, 2022.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
It's roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Aye. Councilmember Williams. That motion was approved unanimously.
All right. It's been properly moved. I'm sorry. Please stay on the next item.
Next item is consent agenda. We have, would you like me to go through and read them? Or?
No. You can just, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Aye. Councilmember Williams. The motion was approved unanimously.
All right. Please stay on the next item. I think we're proclamations now. Everybody want to come forward?
Dr. Cleveland, they're ready for you.
It's my honor tonight to recognize one of the veterans in our city. And I'm really humbled to present this because you have shown outstanding military service. When you hear this man's accomplishment, you'll see why. Dr. Clarence Cleveland, a native of Detroit, Michigan, has served his family, his country, and his community in an exemplary fashion. And at a young age, he joined the United States Marine Corps and would subsequently serve in the United States Army and ultimately the United States Air Force. Dr. Cleveland demonstrated outstanding leadership and skill during his military service. He served as a section chief for electric radar control systems repair, battalion lieutenant, platoon leader for the Nike Hercules radar and missile launching areas, detachment commander of the Military Security Police, and base chief of transportation. Dr. Cleveland retired with the rank of captain, and whereas upon honorable discharge from the military, he embarked upon a distinguished career with the Detroit public school system. Dr. Cleveland served as Director of Student Transportation and Director of the Office of Special Projects. He retired from the Detroit public school system in 2000. And whereas Dr. Cleveland earned a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration from Wayne State University, a Master's of Science in Business Administration from Central Michigan University, and a Doctor of Divinity from Carver College. Additionally, Dr. Cleveland received numerous awards and certificates for his military service and commitment to the Detroit public school system. A small example of these awards include the City of Detroit Award by the Detroit City Council in June 1995 for exceptional achievement, outstanding leadership and dedication to improving the quality of life. Navy Recruiting Command Plaque in May 1982 for exceptional support to the Navy Recruitment District in Michigan. Army Condemnation Medal and Certificate for the Performance of Outstanding Leadership and Service, and was nominated for the United States North American Army Air Defense Command Officer of the Year in 1973. And whereas Dr. Clavin moved to the city of South Fulton in 2019 after the untimely passing of his wife of 61 years, Thelma Clavin. Dr. Clavin attended Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church and is an active participant of the Cascade Business and Merchants Association, as well as Quality Living Service Senior Center. He is a proud father of 3 children, 8 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of South Fulton is honored to recognize and thank you for your courage, bravery, and commitment to duty by honorably serving in the United States Marine Corps, Army, and Air Force, and does hereby proclaim Friday, November 16th, as Dr. Clarence Clavin Appreciation Day in the City of South Fulton.
I'm honored to be here in Atlanta. Atlanta is one of the biggest cities. We're gaining 120,000 people a year. And I think it's wonderful. There's no comparison with Detroit and Atlanta. Atlanta stands out completely. And I'm just honored to be down here with my daughter since my wife has passed. And I thank God that He's spared me for all these years. I have a big family, and to be here today, I take this honor from everyone. For a wonderful lady and a wonderful mayor, and I'm just overwhelmed. It's something I didn't expect, but I appreciate. And I just thank God because God is my leader. I'm a follower. He's been good to me. And I just praise His name. So thank you very much for this honor. And everybody have a safe day. Tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. We're going to get a couple pictures. All right. We gave out one proclamation tonight, but I do want to make sure that we thank all of our veterans here in South Fulton for their service to our democracy. And with that, Mr. Clerk, go ahead and sound the next item.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that brings us to public comments. And I'll read the rules and regulations for public comments. The City of South Fulton believes that any member of the general public should be afforded the opportunity to address the Mayor and City Council, provided that designated rules are followed by the Speaker. Any member of the public who wishes to address the Mayor and City Council and offer public comment on items with the Mayor and City Council's jurisdiction may do so during public comment period of the meeting. However, no formal action will be taken on matters that are not a part of the posted agenda. Members of the general public wish to make public comments at a City of South Fulton City Council meeting must be residents of the City of South Fulton, accepting that county, state, and federal elected officials shall be allowed to speak regardless of city of residence. Comments should be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. A bell will signal the end of each speaker's time. In consideration of other persons who are registered to speak, speakers shall conclude their comments promptly upon the bell sounding. Public comments shall be limited to only those items appearing on the current City Council meeting agenda. All remarks should be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any member. Speakers may not employ obscenities or threats of violence in their comments. anyone who demonstrates these behaviors shall have their microphone disabled and if necessary should be removed from the meeting. Speakers shall not be allowed to make remarks that have been legally recognized to not be protected speech. Speakers may not use public comments and campaign for political office, either for themselves or on behalf of other candidates for the purposes of limiting political influence on city employees and encouraging orderly and efficient meetings. With that said, Mr. Mayor and Council, we did receive 11 speaker cards, and I previously sent to you 7 written comment cards. So with those rules in mind, general public, as I call your name, please approach the center mic, state your name, your address, and the agenda item which you will be referencing, and you will have 2 minutes. First speaker is Mr. Richard Snellings.
Hello, my name is Richard Snellings, reside at 1980 Loch Lomond Trail, District 1, and this is on agenda item 15. The IGA stunt is nothing more than political retribution. What makes this so sinister is that this council will rather violate their oath of office and hurt citizens of the city so that they can get even with Dr. Baker because he had the audacity to hold 2 of their own accountable. I paid for the open records documentation, and what we know is that the termination of the IGA is because of a document they received from Councilmember Willis's Facebook friend alleging a dispute that the courts have yet to even hear. A dispute that has nothing to do with our city, Dr. Baker, or the Development Authority. A dispute that is not even being heard in any court in our state. What is really egregious is that the legal counsel for the developer, in good faith, attempted to resolve this matter with the city council several times. The open records reflect that their request to meet with the city council was ignored multiple times. What this means is that a decision is being made based on an allegation by the petitioner with an undisclosed relationship with one or more of the members of the city council, and no consideration is given to the landowner. Sounds to me like another lawsuit. So now, because this council is so hell-bent on retaliation, we the people are running the risk of missing out on another spectacular development because the council does not have the intestinal fortitude to tell her to let the 2019 removal trial go. I mean, according to her, and only her, she was vindicated, right? Watching this council, I've learned that information that is not favorable to them, the public is lying. If they don't like the public comment, the public is abusing the city council. It's city on the rise.
The next speakers, and I did just reiterate that you must be a resident of the city of South Fulton, so please be certain to state your residential address. I have Jeff Butler, Bobby Hill, Jacinda Walker, Kevin Cates, and Drew DeMann. Are any of those persons present? For a resident of the city of South Fulton, and please approach the center mic, and you will have 2 minutes. Please state your name, your address, and the item which you will be referencing.
My name is Jeff Butler. The property that I own is 5970 Old National. I am here at the request of numerous individuals, and I'm having a little problem with the council because I have requested on many occasions to have a conversation with you, and on many occasions we've been ignored and denied, and so I will keep this brief. I have sought counsel, so I have numerous counsel here ready to take whatever action we need to take to move forward with the development that I came here in good faith. I didn't push any agenda. I'm not changing any laws. I bought a property from the Development Authority, had nothing to do with anyone's political agenda. I have met every request that the Development Authority put towards us. I am here now to show you how serious I am because I was called at the drop of a hat to be here. Most of you know I physically live on the other coast. If I need to be here every day, if my attorneys need to be here every day, and if the city decides to go to a lawsuit, I'm more than capable of taking the city towards a lawsuit. I'm willing to fight for the development that I put my own hard-earned money, time, and interest in. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to beautify a place here and at least talk to the person before we went so far off into actions why there's a problem. None of those problems have anything to do with me.
Point of order.
That's your time.
Point of order. My question is for our legal counsel, being that this is a matter that deals with the development authority and this gentleman, and we were named. Why would this be presented to us in any fashion? And that's my question.
I also have a point of order.
Well,
I'm sorry, we're going to take one at a time. Go ahead, Mr. Hyman.
The council presently isn't named. What council was provided with was information from the gentleman that's the owner, or LBG, I believe it is, and Mr. Benton. And he put us on notice that there may have been some issues with the closing. That's what then prompted council to want to launch an investigation. So that's really what central is that council directed an investigation to be had. So that's what we are. But you're not a name defending anything at this point.
right, but I'm hearing this information about people being asked to be here at the drop of the dime that we're not privy to. So I'm just getting clarity. I'm not clear about what's occurring right now. Are you aware, Mr. Vance, Mr. Hyman?
No, ma'am. Not about his attendance here or the drop of the dime statement. No.
Okay.
Councilwoman Willis.
Point of order. Just for property ownership, I think the way that our rules are written is that you have to be a resident, am I correct, of the city of South Fulton in order to make public comments? And then if that's not the case, we also have Mr. Larray, who would also like to offer comments when we come to this measure. Again, this is a legal matter that should not be playing out in public, but if we are going to listen to one side of it, we should hear all sides of it, including being able to present the legal documents that have been submitted to the city council. Can you please clarify that, does the rule say you have to be a resident of the city of South Fulton in order to be making public comments?
Mr. Hyman, do you want to? I have it here if you need.
Yes, could you please read that, Mr. Adams? Because the chair, if that's the case, the chair needs to make sure that the rules are followed.
Yes, under Section 1, Public Comment Guidelines of Resolution 2022-029, Letter A states, members of the general public wishing to make public comments at a South Fulton City Council meeting must be residents of the city of South Fulton, excepting that county, state, and federal elected officials should be allowed to speak regardless of city of residence.
All right, hearing that, we're not going to be able to hear from any parties. This item is going to come up on the agenda, and I'm sure that people from both sides will be called forward and asked to answer questions from council. So I will ask those of you who are not residents of the city to wait until that time. I am also going to issue a very serious concern that someone could own property in this city, pay taxes to our city and not be allowed to speak in a meeting about property that they own and pay taxes on in our city. When we just had a zoning hearing, and I promise you, not anyone that we heard from in that zoning hearing, not any of those people live in the city of South Fulton. But because they own property and pay taxes and contribute to our general fund, they can speak. So this is not something that we can take up at this time, but I would urge us to reconsider the way that we are doing public comment to include not just residents, but property owners, especially those who have items on the agenda. I think that they should be able to speak at public comment. I'm going to go to Councilman Sebastian, and then I'll work my way back. Dr. Rao.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am concerned that this is a legal issue that we really seemingly shouldn't say much on this, and I kind of wish we had found a different way to address this, because, to be quite honest, I feel a little bit threatened, and I don't like to be threatened. So I'm just saying, that's how you came across, sir. So I think this council, whatever actions that I'm aware that we have taken, as far as I'm aware, it has not been against you or your development or your property. Okay, so again, I agree with the mayor somewhat that when it comes to property owners, we probably need to look at that rule again. But I really wish, because Mr. Hyman, has any meeting been requested that we're not privy to, that we never kept? Because I am not aware of that.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, but I'm just going to stop you right there. I'm going to chair this meeting. This is an item on the agenda. So when we get to the item, I think all of the discussion about the item should happen when we talk about the item. If there are any other points of order about public comment, then I will take those up at this time. But as this is the public's time to speak, I would just like for us to hear from the public. Right now, you have to be a resident. So I would just like, this is our time to hear from our residents, and we can debate the issues surrounding this or anything else that's brought up in public comment when we get to that item on the agenda. So are there any other points of order about public comment?
Yes.
Dr. Rao has her hand raised, and then I will come to you, Councilwoman Willis.
So, Mayor, this is a question. Are you saying that they're here at your request, and are you referring to item 16?
So first of all, they're not here at my request.
That's what I'm asking.
No, well, first of all, I think that a landowner received well, we should talk about that. This is where we're getting into the weeds of the issue.
What item? I'm just saying, okay.
This is I think it's item number 16.
Okay. So my question, and you clarified that they are not here at your request.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry for interrupting. I was asking a question, and the mayor said to wait until we discuss this item.
Yeah.
And if we're not going to wait, I need my question.
No, I'm trying desperately to move us back.
I think we should move on and then wait until
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I have a lot more questions.
Does anyone else have a point of order about public comment?
Point of order, yes.
All right, Councilman Willis.
Mayor, with all due respect, you initiated this debate. I simply asked the clerk, because I didn't want any of us to violate our current rules and ordinances or violate the charter. I simply asked the clerk to read the current rules that are on the book.
I'm going to stop you there, Councilwoman Willis. This is not a point of order. What is your point of order?
It is a point of order because you initiated this debate, and I am clarifying that I initially asked the city clerk to read the rules, and you initiated this debate, and this was not meant to be a debate. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go to the next item, the next person in public comment. And please be a resident.
So, Mr. Bobby Hill, Jacinda Walker, Kevin Cates, are you residents of the city of South Fulton?
Actually, no, I have a building here, a film studio. Just wanted to say hello to everybody. I'm
going to stop you. We'll have to do it at another time.
No problem.
We have a very strict, you cannot speak at our meeting if you are not a resident. So the next resident, please.
So, with that being said, the next speakers are Drew DeMann, Naima Gilliard, Pamela Harris, Catherine Early, Makai Sales, and Sheila Hamilton.
If you heard your name, if you just go ahead and line up, we're going to try and
Please state your name, address, and the item that you are referencing on the agenda.
Yes, Drew DeMann, 4640 Gordon Street in Fife Community at South Fulton. And here speaking about item 16. I'd just like to say that it seems rash to terminate the city's agreement with the Development Authority based on spurious and unresolved, possibly non-germane and irrelevant content in other far-flung states. I think that the development on Old National is a critical opportunity and can be a central kind of keystone development along Old National, which we desperately would like to see happen. And so we can guess about the motivations behind this, but I would strongly urge y'all to maintain the relationship with the Development Authority, which has heretofore done a good job of waiting out a long process, actually generated some revenue. And I think we're squandering an opportunity and a lot of diligent hard work. So I urge you not to terminate the agreement with the Development Authority. Thank you.
Ms. Naima Gilliard.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I don't know any of the numbers for anything that I'm getting ready to say because I didn't know that I needed to do that, so just bear with me. My sanitation company is the only African-American sanitation company that we have. And we're supposed to be giving, I guess, preference, that might be the best word, for minority companies. So I want to know what's going to happen to that company when you vote tonight for one vendor. Number two, there are people that live in that area, and even though the company has been there for 14 years, this is a major expansion, and there is air pollution related to warehouses and related to such a business. So I'm concerned about them. The next thing is that the comp plan is being open for additional text amendments. I'm happy. But don't forget, you promised that the zoning ordinance would be also. So I'm really looking forward to that one because that's the one that's bringing so much to us right now. The next thing is that I see in one of the reports that cable is being laid in some of the areas, and District 4 desperately needs cable. 6400 Cedar Grove Road was on the blighted list of properties. We don't have any city properties in the district. Buy it, fix it, and we'll have one. It was on the blighted property list. And then Hall Road needs lights, so make sure that you put lights out there as you're putting lights out. And the last thing is, I was not on last month's agenda when Councilman Sebastian talked about me, and that was terrible decorum. Plus, it wasn't true. Thank you.
Ms. Pamela Harris, Catherine Early, Makai Sales, and Sheila Hamilton.
Good evening, neighbors. Pamela Harris, District 1, Montclair. Neighbors, let's talk trash. The sole source trash service that's attempting to be shoved down our throats. Neighbors, please check out Waste Pro's Better Business Complaints. They're egregious. Members of council, please publish the original pro forma that states what Waste Pro is charging per household and what the City of South Fulton's surcharge will be. 2 meetings ago, when Waste Pro made their presentation, the mayor stated that he had never read it and the city attorney hadn't finished reading it. GFL, who stands to lose 62% of their business in the city of South Fulton, did they see the pro forma when it was published? How many residents are aware that Gwinnett has been dumping their recyclables on Fulton Industrial for years? So if the council chooses Waste Pro, will District 1 become the dumping grounds for the entire city? Council, is it your intention to allow residents to become involved in residential and business development, specifically Old National Highway? Question, who specifically pressured Development Authority board members to resign? Myself and others are and will continue to increase our attendance and expect constituents' participation to increase. I'd respectfully suggest you listen and pay close attention to your employers. If these Gestapo tactics don't cease, you will be replaced. Anybody can be replaced. Ask Bill. Mr. Adams, please add my public comments to the public record. Thank you.
Ms. Early? I'm sorry. Thank you. Mackay Sales? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Mackay Sells. My address is 4300 Sublime Trail, and I'm speaking on item 24, and also speaking on behalf of my family of 14. I'm an aspiring tennis player who hopes to play in a D1 division college. In order to fulfill my goal, I need all of the time I can get on the court. Having 11 siblings isn't always easy, so the fact that my siblings and I can all play tennis is a blessing in itself. I recently saw an intense match at an HBCU tournament hosted at my own tennis center between the teams FAMU and ASU. When I saw these girls battle with the sun dim, it inspired me not only to hunger for more, not only to see who would be the champion, but also to add other colleges that I might want to attend. Unfortunately, once the two teams split sets, neither sides were able to continue and break the tie because they weren't able to see without any light. Even though the match ended in a tie, it was very disappointing to see something with so much potential be cut off. So please bring back the lights, not only for me, but for other players to come.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Early. I reside at 3925 Faxon Road. I am a resident in District 3, item number 24. I'm here to ask you to vote yes, also for the lights at the South Fulton Tennis Center. I love this community. My children went to Stonewall Tell, Sandtown, and Westlake. Both work at the subway on Campbellton Road, and I shop frequently at the Publix on Campbellton Road. I'm here today as a member of the tennis community to implore you to vote to approve the light repairs at the South Fulton Tennis Center. With my oldest playing varsity tennis at Westlake for the last 4 years, we spent a lot of time at the South Fulton Tennis Center. I even started playing at the age of 40 because she got me involved in the game. We've seen amazing events such as the HBCU National Tennis Championships and the Clark University Spring Roundup, both hosted at the South Fulton Tennis Center. Each event brings 200 to 300 players and coaches to our tennis center and to our hotels and to our restaurants. For the HBCU National Tennis Championships this year, matches couldn't continue after dusk because the lights weren't working. 60-plus players had to go to courts in the city of Atlanta at McGee Tennis Center. And one of the finals matches that Mackay alluded to had to be called a draw because the lights weren't working. The Clark Atlanta University Roundup tournament was also moved to Peachtree Center Tennis Center, in part due to the lights not working. Having functional lights allows tournaments to bring people and revenue to our city. Even in the winter in Atlanta, if you may not know, we play tennis all year round. So we don't want to lose those types of events that showcase one of our best assets here in the city of South Fulton, simply because the lights don't work. Functioning lights mean more court time, more people, and more tournaments at the South Fulton Tennis Center and here in the city of South Fulton. For our youth and our community, I'm asking you please to vote yes, and we thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
The last speaker is Sheila Hamilton.
However, this evening I have several concerns that I'd like to bring before you. As voters, please explain to me why only items pertaining to the agenda is allowed for public comment. As your constituents, we should be allowed to bring any concerns that we have to you, being that it's very difficult to reach you on the phone. Number two, at the last council meeting, it was stated that there was corruption in the South Fulton Police Department. That raised my ears, and I began to investigate what corruption could be at the South Fulton Police. It was brought to my attention that there are officers who have been hired by the City of South Fulton Police who had questionable records at prior police departments.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Number three, move on. Number three, why is the city of South Fulton referred to as the blackest city in Georgia? I would like for it to be highlighted as the best place to live and raise a family, because inclusion and diversity should be the goal of this council, as it is in America. Number four, as you look at approving the waste item on the agenda, I can't remember which one it is, I didn't write it down, but I want to know, will environmental justice be a priority of this council into 2023? The landfill off of Roosevelt Highway is a health hazard, and it poses many health issues to citizens in this community. Last, I'd like to thank Corey Reeves, my councilman, for his monthly Zoom sessions to hear his constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. That was our last public comment.
That was the last public comment.
All right. Please sound the next item.
Next item, per the amendment of the council agenda, Councilman Rose asks that council comments appear at this time.
All right. District 1, Dr. Rao.
Thank you. I would like to invite everybody out to my District 1 quarterly town hall meeting. We're back in person, and we'll be at Decision Point Ministries on this Thursday from 6 to 7:30. We have representatives from GDOT and our Public Works Department, and we'll be soliciting community input on the mural for the Sandtown Rec Center. So I encourage you to come out, and I look forward to seeing you there.
First, I want to thank all of the residents and organizations that participated in the coat drive that we had last weekend, just to get everybody warmed up for the city. So I do want to thank those that participated and came out. It was very cold and rainy, but we did receive over 200 some coats. So that is a record, especially with the rain. I do want to remind you that we will be also off of Old National this weekend, I believe at 12 or 11. I can't remember. I think it's 11 for Habitat for Humanity. Oh, it's 10. I'm way off. Councilwoman Williams and myself, along with DA Fonnie Willis and Representative Deborah Bazemore, will be issuing those coats out to the community. We will have hot chocolate and coffee and all that good stuff. So we hope that if you know a family in need, that you can bring them out to Habitat for Humanity at 10 o'clock on
Saturday on Old National. So, oh, and also too, we had a very, very wonderful workshop with the credible messengers in our city at Westlake High School. They are doing a lot to make sure that we support our youth. Certainly, as we continue to grow and become a very engaged community, there are a lot of things that we need to do as a village to help our children, and especially in high school. So they actually came out and gave a very powerful workshop that was hosted by the Alphas in the area, the South Fulton Alphas. So we were really excited about that. Councilwoman Rao also joined, and we had greetings from our police chief. So again, they are in our schools, and I believe that's all. Did I miss something? Okay, all right. Thank you. Oh, and thank you all for coming out tonight. Y'all look marvelous. No? Okay.
District 3, Councilwoman Willis.
I want to thank everyone, especially Mrs. Smoot and the fire department, park and recreation staff, and our police division, and our Fulton County Sheriff for partnering with the city of South Fulton to for the annual Thanksgiving meal giveaway. We were able to service over 1,000 residents, and the great thing about it is all of the beautiful produce and the hens came from our local grocery store, Wakefield. I want to thank them so much for partnering with the city of South Fulton. Thank you to the other sponsors, MEG, Amera Group, Clover, and also Hot 107.9. We actually had a great collaborative time serving the community, and I will be bringing a Feeding the City report to this council during a upcoming work session, if not in December, January, along with Ms. Smoot. Again, thank you. We had a wonderful time, and it was just a blessing to be a blessing to others. I want to especially thank my colleagues, the ones who came out and also contributed their time. Natasha, council members Natasha Williams, J.C. Sebastian, and also Councilmember Gums. Thank you so much, and all of the legislative specialists that came out and devoted their time. It was a great event, and we also made the news, so we got positive news. Thank you. And communications. I forgot to thank Jacqueline. You did a great job. You did a great job with the pictures, the press release, and getting us positive news.
District 4, Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to let everyone know that I know there was quite a high level of anticipation over the appreciation for the veterans last weekend, and due to the storm that was potentially coming here, we had to postpone, but this Saturday it's on. So this Saturday, we're going to be recognizing a couple of veterans from District 4, Marilyn B. Mackelberry, as well as Arthur R. Mr. T. Topkin. So I encourage everyone to come out. If you have a vet, bring one by with you, spread the word, and we'll recognize a few, as I said, a few of our vets. Also, I want to remind everyone as we come up to the holiday season, and we come up with things like turkey frying season, just be vigilant. I think our fire department is putting out some public service information as to how you safely can do these activities. And so if you have any questions on what you should not do, contact our fire department. They're more than willing to help. And finally, just let me say this. For the first time in our city's history, we've had a lot of enough turnover in this government, right? And I get it. Sometimes people don't leave elections behind. I get it. But one thing I would encourage citizens to do is that you guys check your facts, right? I've constantly said none of my colleagues, as far as I know, right? We all take calls, we all take appointments and have meetings with citizens every single week, right? So if you have questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to your council member and have a conversation. Don't be weaponized by people who just want to come out and stuff. Thank you.
District 5, Councilman Reeves.
Thank you, Mayor. And yes, thank you. My calls are weekly as well, every Monday at 6:30, from 6:30 to 7:30. I do that with my community. And there's just so much that we all do for the service of the constituents. Y'all are the best part of the city of South Fulton, and we appreciate you staying engaged and all that you do. And so, as this weekend, we are also having at the Kendricks Foundation, the Jalon Kendricks Foundation is having a turkey giveaway where they're going to be giving away 200 turkeys at Burdett Gym, which is 2945 Burdett Road. Come on out, first come, first serve, and from 12 to 1:30, that they will be having a basketball clinic. And so the event is from 10 until 5. But I will be stopping by my colleagues over there to up the street from the Habitat for Humanity to be giving out some coats as much needed out there because it is cold. And we're going to make our way over to the fish fry because to stop by there as well as our fire to give so much and to get helpful hints as we do fry turkeys. Please do not fry them inside. And so but enjoy the holiday and just look for more things to come. And remember one thing, I love you, and you can't do nothing about it.
District 6, Councilwoman Williams.
Well, one of the unfortunate things about always going last is everybody's already said what you were going to say. And as you know, I don't like to be redundant, because I believe that people heard it the first 10 times it was said. But I do want to reiterate the coat drive on this weekend, which Councilmember Gomes already spoke to. Just to clarify that the time is between 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Atlanta Habitat for Humanity Restore. And we also do need to point out that in addition to the people that Councilmember Gomes mentioned, that the Old National District, Teresa Parhams, is also participating in this as well, and so I do not want her efforts to be overlooked because she has been an amazing asset and a major champion of the Old National Corridor and has been a great partner to the council, to me in particular, in working through trying to bring quality events to the Old National Corridor. So again, that coat giveaway will be the 19th, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Habitat for Humanity. Bundle up, or either come get a coat so that you can bundle up. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. I'm going to make sure that we go in reverse order next week so you can be first next month. I've heard, yes. So I believe that our citizens are our city's most valuable resource. They are a non-renewable resource. And prized amongst those are our seniors. So I do want to thank our seniors who came out to our Safety Summit last week at Southwest Arts Center featuring Ms. Monica Pearson from WSB-TV. If you missed it, you missed a lot of great information and a chance to meet Monica Pearson. I also want to thank KISS 104 and Publix for the can drive that they had this weekend at the Publix here on Cascade. We are in a time of redistricting. I think you all probably have maybe gotten a phone call or something about an election that's happening, so you all know that we need you to get out and go vote again. So please do that. But we are also redistricting our school maps. The schools that your children may have gone to previously that may have changed. And I think the next redistricting meeting is, the next showing of the maps will be in December, but you can find that information. Please connect with your local school board, and I'm going to tell you a place where you can find it. From me, on Mondays, but please go and see those maps. Make comments before the maps are voted on. Don't let things happen to you, and you find out about it after the vote is taken. The Mayor Mondays, so every Monday at our office is open for any resident, any district, and people who are not residents of the city of South Fulton but do want to do business with us. Please come and see us at Mayor Mondays. And last but not least, there are a lot of, obviously, holiday events going on, but two that I want to tell you about that I am involved in is, one is this Friendsgiving Festival. It's going to be at Wilkerson Mill Park Sunday, November 20th from 12 to 5 p.m. In addition to the regular vendors, bouncy houses, we're also going to have horseback riding. We're going to have real Native Americans telling the real history of this holiday that is coming up. So it's a chance to really educate your children on the good and the bad of Thanksgiving. And that is Sunday. Saturday, the day before that, if you have a dog, my dog, the first dog, will be hosting a fall festival at our Canine Dog Park with 4 colors Mastino, so you can come out and get treats for your dog. You can learn. There's actually going to be some on-site training if there are issues that you're having with your pets. We have an amazing trainer that can talk through some of those things. We have a large and a small dog park, so if you have little dogs, you don't have to worry about them being, chased around by the big dogs. We have one of the most amazing dog parks actually in Metro Atlanta. We have bathrooms on site, which is actually something that is not common in most dog parks. So, but we'll be out there from 2 to 6 p.m. on that Saturday. You can find out about the maps, the district maps that I talked about, more events, make a Mayor Mondays appointment, and all of those things by signing up for the newsletter and getting our mobile alerts by texting the word Fulton, Fulton, to 33777. So thank you for listening to these announcements. Please govern yourselves accordingly. And Mr. Clerk, sound the next item.
So Mayor and City Council, we are at Roman numeral 9, alcohol license rezoning variance modification cases for motion and vote. Items 7 and 11 were removed from the agenda. Items 8, 9, and 10 were deferred to the December council meeting. We do have U22-010, which was added to the agenda, was missed from the printing. And this is a request for a use permit for the establishment of a hair salon in an existing building located at 5610 Old National Highway within the C1 zoning district on 0.78 acres of land. This is located in District 6.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move for council approval of a special use permit for the establishment of a hair salon in an existing building located at 5610 Old National Highway within the C1 commercial zoning district on 0.78 plus minus acres of land.
It's been properly moved and seconded, Mr. Clerk. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
Roll call vote to approve. Councilmember Rao?
Yes.
Councilmember Gumbs? Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves? Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
That item is approved unanimously.
All right, please call the next item.
Next item is item 12, listed under Public Works. This request council approval of Waste Pro as the recommended vendor for residential citywide solid waste service and to authorize negotiation of a contract. Public Works.
Is that you, Mr. Valenzuela?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if there are any questions on the subject, I'll be glad to respond.
Seeing no one in the queue, I will entertain a motion.
I move we approve the council waste profit as recommended vendor for the residential citywide solid waste service and authorizing the negotiation of a contract.
Second. Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, Dr. Rao.
Clarification, with approval of this just begins the negotiation process, and if I'm not mistaken, there are other sanitation providers working in partnership with Waste Pro, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I do have a follow-up question. When should we expect, what is the ETA for the contract to come back to council?
It's my understanding that the contract is under review with our legal department. I will refer that Attorney Hyman address the time frame.
Back with Ms. Gilbert.
Mr. Hyman, I received your comments and I did the final draft of the contract and sent it back to you this morning.
So at the December meeting? All right.
It'll be out of my shop, so it just depends on whatever Waste Pro has to say, but it'll definitely be out of my shop. I'll look in the morning.
All right. I do just want to state again for the record, my request that the call center that's being established does go from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Just, I know we've talked about that, but I just want to state that for the record. And I also would, it is also my hope that the contract will make clear penalties for non-performance or dissatisfaction of residents, and whether it's escalating penalties or up into including termination of the contract. I just want to make sure that we do have a way this time around to hold Waste Pro and its sisters accountable for any lack of customer service or performance in a quantifiable way by our constituents. Yes, Dr. Rao.
Mr. Valenzuela, can you also make sure that a couple things that I really want you to, one, I think it was mentioned about the backdoor pickup, because I've had a number of seniors inquire about that, and make sure that stays in place. The second is another option or multiple options about payment of the sanitation, not just, working with the Fulton County tax assessor. That's really, really important to me. That's probably the biggest concern I've heard. People concerned about a tax lien. So if you can look at that or provide multiple options, I think that addressed most of what I've heard.
Will do.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you said that. I do want to give this update to council. I did have and Madam City Manager and I had this conversation. I did have a conversation with our tax commissioner, Mr. Ferdinand. He is open to that, open to doing the collections, and we would need to, in addition to this contract, just create an IGA with his office At such time, once we have that IGA in place, he or someone from his office is willing to come and answer questions about tax collection at a council meeting, which is rare. He does not regularly attend council meetings, but is willing to make a special consideration for our new city. So thank you so much, Mr. Ferdinand, for that. All right. No other comments?
I'm in the queue.
Oh, go ahead, Councilwoman Boyce.
Actually, I'm in the queue. Thank you, Mayor, for following up with Tax Commissioner Ferdinand. I've actually been working on as the lead sponsor for this measure, along with sponsor Councilmember Gomes, Councilmember Sebastian, and Councilmember Reeves. I actually have been working diligently through our commissioner and our chairman with Tax Commissioner Arthur Ferdinand. One of the things I would like to put out is, number one, the billing for the sanitation will not be on the tax bill, on your property tax bill. He does not believe in collecting in that manner due to confusion with escrows. The measure, what he is proposing is $1 per parcel. Commissioner Arrington actually had the measure on the agenda to be voted on the last commissioner meeting, but it was taken off because there were a few minor tweaks that needed to be done to the legislation. I have already forwarded the information over to the proper negotiating authority on the city of South Fulton side, which is the city manager, and I've already informed him that I will be setting up a conference call with the proper authorities on the county side to get all of this information vetted out so that we can have, when the contract is brought back to this council, we will also have the information on the collection also vetted out. Currently, the tax commissioner does collect sanitation for several municipalities in the Fulton County area, Atlanta being one, also Sandy Springs, and I forgot the other city. Thank you so much, and thank you for the sponsors who have been working with me collaboratively on this measure for over a year, and that is Councilmember Reeves, Councilmember Sebastian, Councilmember Gomes. Thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Actually, we need to carry the vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Reeves, seconded by Councilmember Sebastian to approve. It's a roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Aye. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
That item was approved unanimously.
All right, sound the next item.
Next item is item 13. It's the second read and request council approval of the litter ordinance titled Ordinance Adopting the Georgia Uniform Rules of the Road, Code Section 46248.1B of Chapter 6 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated to regulate traffic upon the public streets of the city of South Fulton, and repealing all other ordinances and sections of ordinances in conflict herewith, to amend Title 15, Criminal Offenses, Chapter 2, Offenses Involving Property Rights, Section 15-2002 of the City of South Fulton Code of Ordinances for the purpose of litter prevention and for other lawful purposes. This is sponsored by Councilmember Gomes.
Councilmember Gomes.
First, I want to thank our intern, Brandon Eves, who has been helping me with this and just doing the research. A lot of this goes back to all of the illegal dumping and things that are happening, so we are excited to get to this point. I do want to thank our city attorneys for actually helping to bring up the language that's appropriate, and I look forward to working with South Fulton Police Department to enforce some sanctions in regards to that. So with that being said, I do want to make a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please call the, any other discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
It's a roll call vote to approve. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes?
Yes.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves? Aye. Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
That motion was approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Item 14 was removed from the agenda. We're at item 15, which is a resolution of the City of South Fulton to approve a distribution of local option sales tax proceeds, authorize the mayor and/or council to execute a certificate of distribution for submission to the Commissioner of the Department of Revenue to preserve rights and for other purposes.
I move to approve the distribution of lost proceeds by adoption of the resolution.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Morale?
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes? Yes. Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves? Aye. Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
That item was approved unanimously.
All right, thank you. And Dr. Rowell, I got your note. I will be headed down there to do that. Please sound the next item.
We're now on item 16. This is request council approval of a resolution approving the termination of the intergovernmental agreement with the South Fulton Development Authority.
All right, we're going to pick up where we left off with Councilman Sebastian. Did not forget about you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was actually requesting of the attorneys because it sounds as if this council was being asked to meet with a certain set of folks, and I am not aware of such requests. I don't recall this even coming up in executive session request for a meeting. So, plus all our contact information are public, so it's not hard to get to us. So, if you can shed some light, if possible, was that something that was requested as far as you're aware?
I don't know if it was directed to council, but I do remember there's an email on the eve of getting documents from Mr. Butler. But as I always advise council, when there's pending issues, that it would be best not to, in particular light of the directions that council had given.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? I will say if there, I don't know who sent letters to whom, but Mr. Butler is here tonight. We go to executive session if people want to hear from both sides. Apparently all sides are present. So I do think before we take action that we should hear from both sides, but I don't get a vote.
Is it something we can do in executive session?
Absolutely.
Here.
Mayor, I have discussion.
I'm sorry.
If you don't mind.
I see you, but Mr. Reeves has asked a question and looked at our city attorney to ask him to opine.
The reason I say that is that
Thank you.
I picked up a potential indication of a lawsuit from the speaker, so it would change litigation.
All right. So, Councilman Willis.
Yes, and so I just want to put on the record that the Development Authority is a independent body, and what we have as a council, we have, since the formation of this Development Authority, we have been the one requesting for information. We have been the one requesting for meetings. It wasn't until our new economic development director was hired and he advised us of how things were ran in his former city that he worked at, where the BIDA at College Park met with their council. They had joint meetings, if not monthly, quarterly. I will tell you, since the formation of this development authority, that has never happened. We had a retreat with the South Fulton Downtown Development Authority a couple of weeks ago, and it was refreshing, the information that was shared between the two parties, that's the city and the Development Authority. I just feel that I don't appreciate being threatened, and I just feel that economic development is supposed to be done in a collaborative spirit. And the way that this Development Authority is functioning, and the way that we were threatened today was not only unprofessional, it was a lack of decorum, and I just don't see, and to be accused of forcing our development authority appointees to resign is far from the truth. They resigned because they got tired of being a part of confusion and mess. And the resignations did not just start. If you go back and look at the formation of this development authority, resignations and high turnover persisted with this development authority. I appointed 2 people that resigned, and my first appointee was Shelley Lamar, and she sent an email resigning and had an individual conversation. And the consistent thing is they get tired of a lack of information. They get tired of the lack of transparency. They get tired of being in the midst of confusion, and they get tired of feeling like there is a disconnect between the development authority and the city council. This has nothing to do with personal vendettas. Nothing. It's an independent body. But the way that we are functioning is dysfunctional between the relationship between the development authority and the South Fulton Development Authority. There's a lot of things that I can say. There are a lot of things that was told to this council, but I will reserve and respect the fact that we may need to discuss it in the development authority. But the way that business owner came and talked to this council and threatened this council was totally unprofessional. And we have not gotten one request, not one request, or notified of one request that individual, excuse me, let me call you by your name, Mr. Butler, requested to speak to this council. Thank you.
Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate that I reappointed someone from District 4 who was already on the Development Authority, and I had to beg the young man to stay. All those things that Councilmember Willis just enumerated, those were the reasons that were given to me. And he finally basically said, I can't take it anymore until I allow it. He held on for 6 months, almost 7 months. So this is not against anybody. This is just trying to figure out why is it this thing is working the way it's working. Because we need a development authority, but we need one that's going to work with this government. We've invested money into the development authority. So it's not a lack of investment or lack of trying. So let's not really get it twisted when it comes up to our role. We think we're playing the part that we need to play. I'm not here to have any, I have no vendettas against anyone. I reached out to the development authority when I first got elected to try and see if I could get some help with some stuff in District 4. So, again, let us try and do good business and stay away from a lot of this stuff.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Willis.
Mr. LaRae Benton is on Zoom, and Mr. Hyman, he is requesting to be allowed to make a public comment regarding this matter, since the mayor did allow Mr. Butler to speak. And I would like to move to make a motion of my colleagues that we allow him to do so. And I have explained to him to, be careful about matters that need to be discussed in executive session. But since the mayor did allow Mr. Butler to speak, he would like to make a public comment. And since this measure is regarding his comment, is regarding the measure on that we are discussing, I would like to make a motion to allow him to speak at this time.
No motion needed. If there's no objection from council, go ahead, Mr. Benton. Is there any, there seems to be objection from council. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Dr.
I
Rao.
have concern because the attorney just told us that this is a legal matter, potentially. And so I'm comfortable in this space, in this conversation.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Councilwoman Rao. I'm not exactly sure what is happening, but I really don't think that this needs to be a public display on tape, particularly given some of the things that we have heard this evening. I do not think that this is, I don't think that this is an act of wisdom. And I would like for us to be wise and measured in how we move in this moment.
I've heard thus far from 3 members of council that have stated an objection. Is there?
This is an executive session, Madam Chair.
That is a 4th. So there are 4 members of council who've asked to not have this discussion, or to not allow the parties to speak. I think.
If this is a motion in order at this time, because I really think that.
No, we've heard. I think.
Oh no, I'm talking about the not that motion. I'm talking about the actual motion on the item.
No, I have some discussion. I have a few comments. We're gonna talk about this in executive session, it sounds like, but since so much has been said publicly already, not just today, but in social media and in press statements with the name South Fulton on them, I just want to enter a few things into the record. I think that we should be careful when we badmouth a development authority that has our name on it, that is staffed by people that our council appointed, whose clerk is our city clerk, and whose finance director is our city finance director. So there is no way the development authority of South Fulton could be a mess without the administration and the council of South Fulton, who created that development authority, appointed all of the individuals, and staff it, are a mess. So I just think that gives me concern. I did not have an appointment to this development authority until maybe 2-3 months ago, and he has had only good things to say. He's had good experiences. I will say that the project that has been much debated I was the original council person for District 6, and there was no time as a council member that I asked to come to a meeting or that I asked to receive information that I did not get it. It's unfortunate that we are at this place. One of the ways that we got here, because there has been talk about previous deals, was that once this development authority was created, and Councilwoman Gilliard, who has left the room, wrote an ordinance that we passed to have our development deals go to this development authority. Those deals were not taken to our city development authority. They were taken to the county development authority. One of the reasons that the South Fulton Development Authority ended up with this particular deal was because other deals that were being done in the city were not given to it. I think that had we brought our deals to the city development authority, we would have had chance, and the same opportunity that I had as a District 6 council person to participate. Anyone who brings their deals to the development authority would have been availed of those same opportunities. If there were issues that needed to be addressed, we would have found out about them years ago when the development authority was founded. It is,
Mayor, point of
it
order.
is, It is,
Point of order.
yes.
We're way off from any discussion that we're having right now.
We're discussing terminating,
What
the- Go
you're
ahead.
speaking about is somebody using a choice about where they're taking it. It is not germane to what we're dealing with right now. This matter deals specifically with our development authority. It has nothing to do with Fulton County's development authority.
If we are terminating our agreement with the development authority
Point of
because
order.
we,
I think we need to take the advice from our attorneys, and if we're going to entertain anything, it needs to happen in executive session. We need to be decent in that order.
I hear your point of order, but as every member of this council has gotten a chance to speak on this issue in multiple meetings, this is the first time that I've spoken on it, and I will just conclude by saying that it is unfortunate that we got to this place, and I think that it could have been avoided. And the last thing that I want to the facts that I want to leave on the table with our constituents is that we donated land to this development authority. The authority then sold it to a third party. Is that, I'm just asking questions.
The more you talk, you're putting the entire city at risk.
You put it on the agenda.
It doesn't
I'm just
matter
asking
if
a
it's
question.
put on the agenda for a resolution to terminate. It's not, this is not something
and
that we need to be discussing.
So I'm just gonna ask questions.
You're
I get
putting
it.
the whole entire city
Point of order, decorum
at risk.
violation.
All right.
The attorney
I'm
has
just
advised
asking a
us,
question.
Mayor,
Do we
and
own the land on Old National as the city of South Fulton? That is my question.
Point of order.
Do we own the
decorum
land?
violation. And so,
I would just honor your
point of order,
request
decorum
so we
violation.
can
All right. Well, again, I'm going to state for the record that we are twice removed from anything that is happening right now. We donated the land and the land was resold. And so I just think that that's important to issue on the record as we have made comments disparaging our city's development authority with our city's name on it. And with that, Mr. Clerk, you can sound the next item.
There's no motion, you're going to hold it, or?
Oh, I'm sorry, there is a motion on the floor.
There was no motion made yet.
There was no motion made. Is there a motion, or would we like to take up the motion after executive session? Seeing or hearing no motion,
I move to table this and act for the executive session.
I would like to hear, again, I would like for us to move wisely and deliberately and measurably in this moment. And I would like to ask the city attorney if it is appropriate to make a motion at this time, or is this something that needs to be tabled so that we can have further discussion in executive session?
I would, but I'm not the legislative body. Table sound like it would be a good idea until you get further briefed, but that will be the will of the body.
I move to table item number 16
So moved.
until after executive session.
moved.
Thank you.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry, is there any discussion? Councilman Sebastian?
No.
All right. Mr. Clerk, please sound the vote.
It's a motion to table until after executive session. Roll call vote, Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gumbs.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
That motion was approved to table.
All right. Please sound the next item.
Next item is item 17, resolution approving the purchase and acquisition of real property located at 7090 Oakland Industrial Boulevard, South Fulton, Georgia, on 7.34 acres for a price of $330,000.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry, any discussion?
Mayor, can you ask them to identify exactly what the purpose of this is for, just for the edification of the public?
All right, I believe this is for a fire station, and we're going to have our deputy chief
That's correct. It's for the fire
come
station.
forward.
Honorable Council, Mayor, thank you so much. So this property is for our future Fire Station 10. As the City of South Fulton Fire Rescue Department continues to grow, our call volume continues to increase. We know that we're going to need additional fire stations in the city. This is property for Fire Station 10, which would incorporate a new engine company as well as a lateral company, which will help reduce some of the call volume on the current stations there in the First Battalion.
All right, I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion and a second. I'm sorry, Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
It's roll call vote to approve. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes. Yes. Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
The motion was approved unanimously.
Clerk, please sign the next item.
Next item is item 18. This request council approval of a resolution approving the purchase and acquisition of real property located at Jonesboro Road and Old National Highway, South Fulton, Georgia, approximately 3.98 acres for a cost of $275,000.
I move to approve the resolution to approve the purchase
So moved.
and acquisition of real property in Jonesboro and Old National Highway.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I do have.
Share purpose. Can you share the purpose for the benefit of the public?
Go ahead, Madam City Manager. And if you could, as you share the purpose, could you also just note where the monies for both of these purchases are coming from? It's not on the agenda.
Yes, sir. So I'll have Mr. Artie Jones come up and, are you doing this one? Okay, I'm sorry. Make sure I know what I'm doing. I'm sorry. Number 17 is purchased out of the funds for the fire department. They have those funds available in their budget. Number 18.
That's 14 acres
URL.
for the parks.
Partially.
Yes, for
the
District
park.
7, we were going to do a linear park for that location. A linear park. I'm sorry, linear park.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And then Ms. Slayton Dixon, is this one prior years? Number 18. Oh, actually, I believe it's URA. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, URA. Okay,
We
you're trying.
already
I'm
did.
thinking I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, this is, good morning, good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, this is approximately 14 acres to be purchased for District Number 7 for the use of a park. The funding will be coming from the URA. There's approximately, I believe, $35,000 that's available in the URA funds. The rest of the funding between that and the 275 would come, I'm suggesting or recommending that it would come from the general fund. That would be about $50,000 when you're looking at closing costs and also the difference between what's available and the sales price.
So clarification, the general fund, is this coming out of that money we set aside for park improvements? I know we allocated.
That was the CIP.
So it is coming from the capital?
No, we had not discussed it coming out of that $1 million for parks improvement. So I would probably get a recommendation. That's in CIP.
Right. I'm asking, would it be appropriate, given that we did earmark, didn't we earmark $1 million this year for?
Yeah, but it was supposed to do park improvements in our existing parks, not for acquisition.
Okay, so you're okay with it coming from general fund?
I would get the recommendation of my finance director.
Okay.
Come on. Oh, it was for, we included acquisition in there too? Okay,
Housing budget was for acquisition and improvement.
okay. all
In
right.
the CIP. Okay,
Okay, that's
okay,
fine.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay.
All right. I would note that 14 acres on Old National is worth much more than, this is a very, very great deal that we are getting.
We do good work.
Yes. And we kn- and it was a donation. That was negotiated. So, thank you. All right. It's been properly moved and seconded.
Got speakers as well.
Mayor, I
Go
vote
ahead.
you.
Councilwoman Willis.
Mrs. Sally Jones and the finance director, on all of these agenda items that is in the agenda packet, isn't a FIS included with all of the information?
From my understanding, the FISC are only associated with the ordinances. Is that right, Mr. Adams? Please help me out here.
So I thought that council made that FIS are supposed to be associated with anything that has a financial impact.
I want to say that I did do a fist for both of these. They were similar.
And so is the FIS included in the agenda packet, which is released when the agenda goes out on the online? Because I just don't want residents to think that this information is not privy to them. In the past, we have included all the financial documents along with the measure that's being brought before this council in the agenda packet.
Yeah, Councilman Willis, I do not believe a FIS was attached in the agenda package for either of these items, but Ms. Lake Dixon.
Okay. I remember seeing a FIS because I remember one being brought to us when we were discussing this under real estate. So going forward, I just would ask, in agreement with the mayor, so that we won't have to belabor our meetings, can we please include all of the financial FIS information in the agenda packet like we have done in the past, and include it on in the agenda packet that is released to the public when the agenda goes out, typically the Friday before every meeting?
Yes, ma'am. We have it. We'll attach it.
Thank you. Well, I'm asking the city manager to make sure that your staff submits that information to the clerk to include, because that's what our legislation requires, that anything that has a financial impact is supposed to be included in our agenda packet and submitted to council so we can make informed decisions. Okay. That will cut down on a lot of these questions.
Can you go back? Okay, I just want clarification because I'm looking at the resolution that created the FISC. It's resolution 2018-029, a resolution to amend financial impact statement requirements and processes for approved ordinances, resolutions, and other lawful purposes. And it says a financial statement shall be prepared for each and every proposed ordinance and resolution. So are you telling me that you now want to, are we going to amend this to add acquisitions? And
Ms. Sally Jones, what the agenda states is that resolution approving purchase and acquisition of real property on Jones Road on National Highway, South Georgia. So this is a resolution.
Okay.
It says on the agenda.
Okay, and yes, ma'am, she included a FISC.
And what the clerk just stated, that the FISC was not included. And so what I am simply asking is, going forward, if we can include FISC to these resolutions so that I'm in agreement with the mayor that the public does need to be privy to this information. Didn't you just say that FISC wasn't included on this resolution, Mayor? Clerk? Adams?
Yes, and actually talking to my staff here, we do have a FISC for 17. We did not have a FISC for 18. But I did get your point that moving forward, you wish to have the fish attached to the package as in previous practice.
And that's what the resolution says, Mrs. Sadler Jones.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. We'll make sure that those are attached.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We ready to vote now? All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
We have a motion by Councilmember Sebastian, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Reeves to approve item 18. Roll call vote, Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Councilmember Williams. That item was approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
We're on item 19, listed under public safety. This is actually the first read of an amendment to the Alcoholic Beverages Ordinance regulating the hours of operation for consumption. This is sponsored by Council Members Williams, Gomes, Reeves, Sebastian, and Willis, and this is first read.
All right, this is first read. Can we sound the next item? Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? All right, go ahead. Please sound the next item.
I'll reserve my comments. Yeah, I'll reserve my comments for the next meeting. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're on item 20. Request council approval of the purchase of 3 F-250 trucks under the state contract for the replacement of vehicles and the growth of the department. The purchase will be processed using the state contract and funding from the capital account in the amount of $147,549. This fire department.
Chief Wilson?
Hello again, everyone. Glad to be back up. So these vehicles will be used for fire rescue to be able to replace some of our existing vehicles that are obviously in not so good a shape. The F-350s will go to community risk reduction to allow our team to be able to pull things like a fire safety house trailer once we get that in place. What else do we have on that? So I believe that's it on that particular item.
Could you go ahead and, while you're up there, just tell us about the item 21 as well?
Yes, so item 21 is related to our command vehicles. So when you see our battalion chiefs, that's how we actually have a chief officer on every scene of a major incident. Currently, they have several older vehicles that are in and out of the shop. We are in position now to be able to purchase new command vehicles. One of the things we're doing with our incident command is really improving our incident management. We call it command from the car, so these are going to be state-of-the-art vehicles where our folks will be able to manage the incident. They'll have all the computers and all the things they need inside the vehicle to better manage, better account for, improve safety of our firefighters.
All right, I will entertain a motion to take these items together if you'd like.
Yes.
I make a motion to take items number 20 and number 21 that are on the agenda for replacement of vehicles for the fire department.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, I do just have, I do just have one comment. You know, I say this all the time when we're buying vehicles. I really want us to buy some electric vehicles. Ford has got an amazing electric F-150 that will also power your whole house when it's fully charged. So I'm really, 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 really hoping that at some point in the next 12 months, the next time we have a vehicle for purchase on this agenda, it will be electric.
Mayor, I hope we do too, but we got to get some charging stations around here first.
Well, the benefit, I mean, a lot of these vehicles will be take-home vehicles. The F-150, I think, goes 300 or 400 miles, so you can charge it at your house. It's $100,000. We charge it at your house. It doesn't have all of the moving parts. I think it's something we should consider.
I
I'll be a tester of that if y'all need somebody to beta test.
Yes. All right.
Well, I will mention the baton cars do stay in the city because they are part of the incident management piece for us. But still, no doubt, we will be looking at that as we move forward. I know with the future Station 9, I believe out on Cascade, come out of the headquarters, one of the things that will be in place there will be a charging station. So that, I think, just as time goes, we'll have those opportunities to look at some of the electric vehicles. Obviously, for fire services, ensuring that we still have the ability to be able to get where we go without having any issues. So still some new technology, but as we see it move forward, I know we will be hopefully one of the first ones to give it a shot.
All right, thank you. And with that, Mr. Clerk, please call the vote. Yeah, vote. I'm sorry, wait. Mr. Sebastian has a question. Go ahead.
Chief, will I be able to borrow one of these trucks since my 6'6" frame can't fit in these little cars that we have? Let's answer that offline.
Let's have a conversation later, right?
All right. Please call the vote, Mr. Clerk.
Right, motion by Councilmember Gomes, seconded by Councilmember Rao to approve items 20 and 21 together. Roll call vote, Councilmember Rao. Yes. Councilmember Gomes. Yes. Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Those items were approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
We're on item 22, under the City Council and City Administration, council approval of an emergency ordinance declaring a state of emergency in the city of South Fulton, providing for city meetings to be held virtually, providing for an effective date and for other lawful purposes. Sponsored by Councilmember Rao.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the emergency ordinance declaring a state of emergency to allow for meetings to be held virtually.
All right, it's been second. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second. Any discussion? I just have this one discussion item. I say it all the time. Madam City Manager, I look forward to a report in January at our work session on where we will have all our in-person meetings beginning in February. We've set that date for February 1 to begin in-person meetings for, God willing, and the COVID don't rise. We'll be back in person for all of our meetings and work sessions, including our boards and committees. So we just need a space plan for that. And with that, I will call for the vote.
So roll call vote to approve. Councilmember Rao?
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes? Yes. Councilmember Willis?
No.
Councilmember Sebastian?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves?
Nay.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
That item is approved 4-2.
All right, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 23, request council approval of an amendment to the 2023 legislative priorities. This item is presented by the city manager and our lobbyist, Mr. Long.
This item was approved last month, but one item was omitted by mistake. So we are amending the list to add a priority that is aimed at regulating corporate ownership of private homes.
All right. Thank you for council's diligence for making sure that is included. And with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to request approval of the amendment to the 2023 legislative priorities.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
Roll call vote to approve. Councilmember Rao? Councilmember Gomes?
Yes.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves?
Aye.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
That item is approved unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the last item.
Last item on the agenda is item 24, under Parks and Planning. Request approval of a change order of lighting services agreement with Georgia Power for the South Fulton Tennis Center in the amount of $331,540 funded from the contingency account. This is sponsored by Councilmember Willis.
I'll entertain a motion.
I motion that we approve this measure.
It's been properly moved.
For like.
It's been Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, we have several folks. I don't know what's going on with our queue, but I see Raul, Gums, and Sebastian. Thank you. All right, Dr. Raul.
I think we all know that we want to see our facilities being used and support lighting at the South Fulton Tennis Center, but we also have tennis courts at Burdett and Trammell Crow. And so I would like also to see us to address the lighting issues in those facilities as well. City manager.
All right, she says yes. Councilwoman Gums. No. I was thinking about the order of things, but I'll just wait. Go ahead, Councilwoman Gums.
So, I agree with Councilwoman Rao, and I also agree that we need lights in the tennis center. I do have some concerns in how we got here, not understanding exactly why this is put on the agenda again when we thought that we were actually funding it the first time. So my understanding is that proper due diligence was not done. Am I correct in saying that in regards to staff? Like, how do we not know, or was there not a full assessment that was done to know exactly that this additional funding would be needed? And that causes me some concerns. And when I say that, it's because we did an RFP, somebody applied for it, we awarded that person the grant, or however you want to call it, and then they're coming back and saying that possibly we need to do something again. And I don't want that to be a consistent pattern of where we're going with, always having change orders and things of that nature. So I think for me is who's doing the due diligence of making sure that a full assessment is done and that there's certainly equity across all of our facilities, but this seems like this was a miss. I don't know. It just seems like something was amiss, and I don't like the fact that we're back here at this place, and then we have to justify doing it again. So I don't know if anybody
Mr.
can
Thomas,
add any details to
Can you assist
that.
me with the, because I think there's some misclarification on an RFP being done.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Let me try to address Councilmember Gums' main question here. So the tennis center was resurfaced and redeveloped as a whole, I believe in 2019, 2020. During that time, it was always known, I guess, that the lights were coming. I wasn't here in 2019, but that's my understanding from two prior directors. The power in the lights is typically laid about 18 inches underneath the surface, and according to Georgia Power, is not in conduit. It's just put underneath. When they installed the lights, it was noted that there was considerable copper theft. I don't know if the council remembers some of those conversations of how we got to the lights, and that new wires would need to be run up and completely redone. That was part of that initial Georgia Power project. It was determined from the staff that's no longer here as part of the project that some new wiring would have to be done. The estimate for that was in the $20,000 to $50,000 range. As we move forward and they flip the switch on, due to various reasons, age, disturbance of everything, there's about 16 poles that did not have the proper wattage of power. When Georgia Power went back in to see how to correct that, there were several initial processes that having the diagrams, we took this over from Fulton County, the age of the facilities, not having any diagrams of how the wires were run. it was determined at that time, due to all the new and resurfaced courts, that the best way to get power to these poles was to bore in the electrical wire. That's what drove up the cost to that $300,000 range, was due to the boring and some of the additional work not to disturb all the development that went on to put the courts back together in the great condition that they're in. So it was known that additional work would be done, but when it was reassessed, the best practice was to bore it in, and that's what drove up the cost.
So just so I'm clear, that assessment didn't happen, the full assessment didn't happen the first time we approved the light. And then there was some copper stolen that added to the price tag, is that what?
The copper was noted when Georgia Power came in, and under Georgia Power's initial contract, it was from the base of the pole up. And it was noted that there was some power disruption to the pole, and the initial estimate was under $50,000. But when they came back and reassessed it and determined that the best practice was to bore it in, because you got all the concrete. So if you did it the other way, you would have to recut the cord, to redo everything, delay and trench it. So they're trying to do minimal impact to the facility to get the power there.
Okay. Well, that leads to certainly other measures.
Absolutely.
And things of that nature. And hopefully we won't experience anything else like that in any of our other facilities.
Absolutely. And this measure, because I did go out there during the tournament. It was a great tournament, lots of people. And there's been several requests for additional tournaments coming up. The thought process behind this is because Georgia Power is a trusted name, has worked on the facility, understands that they can move the quickest to get us where we need to be. In speaking with several of the representatives, they can mobilize next month, and depending on weather and other attributes, start in either December or January. And they have told me that the entire work should be completed in about 30 days. So this is the quickest method to moving forward to getting everything 100%.
Okay. So if we approve tonight, we will be back in, the tennis center will probably be in full operation by
February.
February?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Again, this is one of our jewels in the city, so I do understand the importance, and it also is a tourism piece as well. So I hope that we can officially get it done and not see any other hiccups.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, Mr. Thomas, just for my own clarity, if I heard you correctly, are you saying that the lights were installed, connected, and then it was discovered that they didn't have adequate wiring?
No, it was the understanding that some work would be needed, but at that time of whoever did the initial assessment stated that work would be done, but the whole boring aspect to not disturb the cords was not part of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilwoman Willis.
I do want to go ahead and ask for my colleagues if we could go ahead and approve this measure, because we are constantly losing tournaments. One of the major tournaments we were in play to get was to happen in January. It was a major 4-H teen youth. I mean, it was a 4-H youth tennis tournament, huge tournament. You could look it up. And they were going to give a 2-year commitment. We're in jeopardy of losing the HBCU tournament if we don't get lights. As stated, when dust fell, they had to travel to the city of Atlanta, which was a huge inconvenience to finish up their tournament. Some of the tennis matches ended in draws. We also lost a tournament that would have typically been held on Labor Day, and that was the Peach State LGBTQ tournament that was held last year at the facility, but they opted not to use our facility this year because we did not have lights. And so I do agree, I am asking that we come back with a comprehensive plan. Number one, this is our largest tennis facility. This is a facility that can help us generate revenue to fix other facilities. I am also need lights repaired at the tennis courts at Welcome All Park. So I think that with the new park director coming on, I would ask that he make that a priority to assess the remaining tennis courts, Burdett, Welcome All Park, Sandtown, Tremor Mill, Crow, and any others that we have, and bring a recommendation back on how we get the lights repaired at all the tennis courts, because it's obvious that we have a huge tennis community. And then going beyond our city, all of the schools have tennis courts. So this is a huge tennis playing community, and they play tennis all year round. But this facility, we do need to get it in operation, full operation, so that it can generate the revenue that it can generate, and also that we can also have it readily available to the community. The community. Thank you.
All right. There are a couple more people in the queue. I have a couple questions. I understand the importance of the lights and their ability to generate revenue through tournaments. I know that we also have just done this new building fee schedule, or this new fee schedule. I just want to make sure that we are charging as much as possible. I don't want to make it cost prohibitive for HBCUs or teens, but whenever possible, that we are charging as much as possible to recoup these mounting expenses. That is my first comment. Councilwoman Gums spoke about an RFP. Was there an RFP for these lights?
Mr. Mayor, the situation with most of the lights that we got through the city is that in the past, when it was built, they were built by private contractors. So at this point, we are under if you want to hire the proper power company, maybe Georgia Power or Greystone, depending on the zones, it's much better that we proceed with the proper power company and stay away from private contractors. Otherwise, the maintenance of those lights will be substantially higher.
So the answer is no. There was no RFP.
Right. So
this is where I have concerns, because when I first vetoed this, I was raked over the coals about it. I was holding up all of this progress, but 10 months later, the lights are still not on. What I am hearing is that there is no RFP, which would have been one place where we might have found out these issues. We also did a URA when we were doing all of our parks. I remember that the entire project list changed because as we were studying our parks, buildings, and facilities, we found that there was a mold issue at this place, or there was HVAC work that needed to be done at Creel Park. So all of these plans, all of these grand plans that we have for our URA were altered because when we did all of these inspections, we found all of these issues. Then we did a parks master plan. And so I'm challenged because I'm just wondering in all of these RFPs and URA inspections and plans, we seem to keep missing things and then come back, not with little bills, but like big bills for things that we are missing. So we're not going to resolve it in this work session, but it does cause me concern because we are doing these infrastructure improvements all over the city, and we are making these estimates, and it's challenging. We are also paying nearly $10,000 a month forever for these lights. And so now on top of that, we are paying this $300-something thousand. We were just talking about the F-150. Someone said it was $100,000. That's where it started. It's dropped down to $60,000. The reason that I bring that up is because new technologies are getting cheaper and more efficient. Councilman Reeves, do you have a vendor that is doing solar-powered lights at Burdette Gym?
No.
Is he not in this meeting at all?
He was, but
Okay.
I can't.
Okay. So I just want us to explore. We had this conversation. He had a solar powered vendor. Now these lights are becoming very expensive, and we're going to be paying for them forever because we are paying a power company for them. I just want us again to look at solar power options. I know there was a concern about the lumens and the lights being bright enough for traditional solar powered lights. That some of that has changed. Some of that technology has changed now. I think Councilman Reeves is working on that. But additionally, because we have to redo the power to the poles, we can get more power. We could put a solar panel array and get enough power to power these lights.
You sound correct. And just to update you and the council and residents, we've been working with solar companies that provide those services. We're in the process of doing a demo project with one of them. Even the demo project will cost the city some funds, but all of them are sole sources, so it's not necessarily that we'll be able to do an RFP, but it is substantially cheaper. But it's not something that we can get it resolved in the next 3 months or so on. But we are right there working with about 2 or 3 other companies that are providing those services.
All right. So I hear that. I will just close again with it. I implore you, as we are doing this Parks Master Plan, let's inspect everything from the rooter to the tutor, so we don't have to do any more of these change orders. And with that, I will call for the vote. I'm sorry, there was Councilwoman Williams. You're in the queue.
Thank you, Mayor. I have to say that I share my colleagues' concerns about the number of change orders that are coming through, and for whatever reason that they are coming through. But what I can say is that as a long-time state employee of the state of Georgia, one of the oldest tricks in the book when it comes to contracting is to lowball a bid to gain the work and then come back with multiple change orders, which gets them back to the number they wanted to be at in the first place. And as you know, one of the questions, because we've had this conversation, one of the questions I constantly ask is whenever anyone comes to the podium asking for money for something, is this everything that you need? And almost inevitably, it's not. I'm well aware that we are not going to solve any of this tonight. It's almost 10 o'clock. and that it is a bigger problem that's going to require a bigger solution. But what I would like to ask, and this is probably something for the city manager, I would like to ask that going forward, every effort is made by everybody who needs to be involved to properly assess what is needed the first time, so that we can adequately fund what we need. We know what the number is. If we do an RFP, if we do a sole source, whatever direction we take, we get it right the first time, so that we're not sitting here thinking we have one number and our budget says X, only to once again be hit with another bill that completely changes what we thought we had done. So if we could please ensure that people are doing their jobs, they are doing it correctly, they are doing it thoroughly, and that when they come to us with everything that's going to be needed. If that means you got to crawl on the ground, climb fences, or climb poles, get it right the first time.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Councilman Reeves.
Mr. Valenzuela, when was the initial measure approved from this DS about the lights over at South Fulton Tennis Center?
I'm glad you asked the question, Councilman Reeves. The actual presentation and approval of the lights was done by Parks. Okay, and we're assisting on the change order coming from Parks. I don't have that information. I don't know if somebody from Parks here on the initial request.
I believe the initial presentation was February, and then it was pulled, and then there was some contract review, and the final version was signed in
August
of 2022.
Correct. And when that was assigned, and then should those, at what time did we find out that this portion, the installation of lights, was not included with that purchase?
That was in the initial agreement.
That was in the initial agreement?
Yes, sir.
So this extra $331,000 is specifically for what?
This is to do from the poles back to the power source. The Georgia Power initial agreement was from the base of the pole to the top of the pole, plus the lights fixtures itself.
And nothing to the power source?
Nothing to the power source.
But you had to have a source to have the power on?
You had to have the source of the power, and there was no, I'm not going to say known issues, but there were some minor issues. But as our Public Works Director mentioned, that when Georgia Power takes over certain things, other standards need to be brought up. So on some of these poles, it may have been some power, but it may not have been at the right standards or settings, or safety issues with the wiring based on when it was put in. So there could have been multiple factors, and I think when it was initially looked at, they were thinking they were going to cut the ground and just pop the wire in. Since all the work has been done, it would cost this much, if not more, to cut, repair. And as you know, if you've ever had driveway work done or sidewalk work, it never matches up perfectly. So boring at this point is the best solution to keep the facility in the pristine condition.
Right, okay, because I know I specifically sought out and asked for a Parks master lighting plan utilizing solar. And I had one come over and look at Burdette specifically. And did they come back with a report on how much that would be?
I'm not aware of that cost, no, sir.
All right, well, I'm just gonna say that having an inclination to approve $331,000 in a change order, we just paid less for 14 acres of land. But, you know, to our tennis community, you know, we wanted to understand that South Fulton Tennis Center, yes, but they shouldn't have to go outside of anywhere because we have a whole tennis center at Burdett. We got tennis facilities at Creel Park. We have tennis facilities at Sandtown and at Welcome. So they would all, if they all had lights, they would not have no reason to go anywhere. They could stay within this ecosystem.
Right. You stand correct, Councilman Reeves. While you were outside, we are discussing with two solar companies that provide those services. I have examples on what they can do. We have provided the Verde Park, the area for them to look into it and to provide us a quote for a demo project that they have indicated that it's going to cost us some money, but it's not going to be as exuberant as it was. So I'm aware that the cost went down substantially for those solar lights. So as soon as the demo is done and it works for the park, and we can go from there and to other facilities. But when it comes to change the actual standards from any public facility that we own that was installed by private contractors in the first place, in order for a power company that has to take it over again, is like redesigning from beginning to end, or they will not maintain. So I've done that before with Fulton and other municipalities. Since then, we never went back to private contractors doing it. We contract with the power company from day one, or from there. All our current lights that we have, that's how we're doing it. And then if we have an option ahead of time that we are satisfied with power lights, with solar lights, I think that's the way we're going to be going.
Thank you. And then I would like to know that we have a local company that actually manufactures those as well. So
it will be absolutely. All of them are sole sources. And unfortunately, I haven't heard from that company, but I heard once, but I never heard back from them.
Mr. Clerk, you want to call the vote?
That's we have a motion by Councilmember Willis, seconded by Councilmember Guns to approve. Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao. Yes. Councilmember Guns.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves.
unfortunately, aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
That item was approved unanimously.
All right. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, we have one additional item that was added to the
that's right.
agenda.
Yes, item number 25, that nomination.
Yeah, we have item 25, which is a nomination of J. Latisse Bailey Close by Mayor Pro Tem Reeves to the City of South Fulton Ethics Panel.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
It's roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Guns. Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
That item was approved unanimously. That completes all items on the printed agenda.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for real estate litigation personnel.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Guns.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes, can you send me a box?
Yes. Councilmember Sebastian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Reeves. Aye. And Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
We are recessed for executive session at 10:07 p.m.
Does anybody have something for a headache before we head in the back?